Hello, you out there, YouTube land. This is Transrants 10, and I'm back with another movie review. It's been a long time, I know, but I kind of figured movies weren't really my passe. Even though I love movies, you guys didn't really seem to respond all that well to them. Well, at least not until recent months. I guess because as my channel grows and more people start to watch them, they start to see other things besides the toys, and they start to realize, hey, let's see more of this. So I've gotten some emails in the past couple of months to, do some more movies. So I figured that it would be a perfect time to review this film. And that is because back in the day, it had its, 15 minutes of fame, but it kind of faded away. And it really wasn't until the advent of DVD and a really good video transfer at the time by Universal that the film started to grow in popularity, because people started to realize, like, hey, there's a Halloween 2. And now it's considered very much a cult classic, and some people actually do think of this film as superior to the original. I don't think so, but I can see where they're coming from. So much so that when Shout Factory announced their Scream Factory imprint, the first film announced was Halloween 2. Now, Halloween 2 on its own is a really great supernatural chiller, but it may not have been necessary to most fans. In fact, there's many claiming the motives of the death-defying shape from that as an escaped mental patient who seemingly picked his victims randomly had his overall impact lessened when all was revealed that he was just after his baby sister the entire time, and for reasons only unknown to him. So, lesson learned here, folks, is never cross paths with anyone named Myers or Strode, or Laurie Strode in particular, and you'll be fine. Halloween 2, though, is not all that bad. John and Deborah really did explore more of the mythology of the Myers bloodline while interweaving some really great kills and a cat-and-mouse stalker theme. There are some stock characters, and the script is, as Erwin Yablans put it recently, rather pedestrian, and yet is very simple. It's just the simple formula that imitators were using when they were ripping off the original Halloween, So, when it was first released, it was up against a whole other slew of Friday the 13th, New Year's Evil, Night of the Demon, all these different slasher and splatter films. So it really never did find its particular audience. And critics never really did favor this one. They just consider it just an imitator. And it kind of is, but then again it kind of isn't. Because there are some shiny moments that, once seen, Bud singing Amazing Grace, for example, can never really be forgotten and are quite brilliant. Dean Cundy's photography, once again, gives what should be a very safe environment a chilly, bleak atmosphere with all the really yellowish lights, the red lights, the blue tints. So what should be a place of, getting better, a place of, safety is now been degraded to death and loneliness. And it really does complement the rookie Rosenthal's direction. He's no carpenter, he's not really, he's more like a studio man. He's the kind of guy that he can adapt well to any type of setting. He doesn't really have his own imprint. He's more or less just a go-getter. You tell him to do something and he does it. And he does it just well enough to, please anybody. He never really had any, other films besides Halloween 2 that are really worth mentioning, at least not in my own opinion. And if there are some, feel free to, drop a line. But, like I said, he fits the style adequately using suspense and tension rather than gratuitous gore to tell his story. Now, gore is used. It was 1981, and Carpenter felt that he needed to write gore into the script, to keep up, to gain an audience, because people had been spoiled with the wake of Friday the 13th. But the gore is rather tame compared to the other films of that era. Night of the Demon, for example, need I say more. Halloween 2, as a result, feels more like a direct continuation of the first. Rick Rosenthal was so obsessed with trying to create a mood and feeling of the original, because he really did feel that since Halloween 2 was picking up directly where the original left off, it should transition easily, without any awkward pacing or anything of that nature, very easily into the next film. And with that, he did it well. There isn't a single time that I felt that, hey, this doesn't feel like Halloween at all. It really does feel. Of course, they upped the action a little bit because the budget was a little bigger, so you have some explosions and you have more blood, but other than that, it doesn't feel all that dissimilar from Halloween. Still very much Michael Myers and Laurie Strode and Dr. Loomis. Speaking of Michael Myers, I feel Dick Warlock, who was the stuntman and the one under the mask this time, was very much an inhuman entity rather than the human being that was seemingly possessed in the original film. Now, some have also critiqued Dick as moving about very slowly, basically like a slug. But to me, it's almost as if we see Michael glide across those hallowed halls, thanks to some really great camera positioning that only focuses on the upper torso. Now, in the first film, we focused more on the lower half, because Carpenter's intent was for you to project whatever your utmost nightmare was into the shape, and only show the mask when he felt appropriate, like that very awesome jump scare where he materializes out of the darkness when he confronts Laurie for the first time. And I believe in doing so, since you can't see him walk, and the way that Dick Warlock was gliding across, the gliding across his shots, it's very accurate to Dr. Loomis's description of the nor remotely human killer. And he comes across as this almost ghostly apparition, or this demonic entity rather than a human, and someone compulsed to kill. Michael, this time, seems intent to kill, that he exists solely to kill, and that nothing, not gunshots, nor stabbings, nor, heck, even fire at times would kill him. Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie is, once again, she's terrific. She survived hell. She has survived numerous encounters with the Shape from the first film, saved the kids, and now her utmost fears have been realized when the Shape, who just got up and walked away after 6 shots, or in this case, 7 shots, has tracked her down, to Haddonfield Memorial General. It's crazy. It's just crazy. So she is been thrust right back into the pit, and she's got to fight for her life. But because she's so weak, she doesn't come across as your typical final girl that fights and, kills, the menace this time. She is the final girl, don't get me wrong, but it's more Loomis that saves the day. And Donald Pleasance, we can't ignore him, is just phenomenal. He is phenomenal as the crazed doctor trying to track down and end the evil that is his former patient. In fact, his final scene is mesmerizing. You can see it in his eyes that he's got to do what he's got to do, and it's the only thing that that can stop him. I'm not going to go too much into it. I mean, if you have seen the original film and you haven't checked out Halloween 2 yet, it is available in stores. I would suggest the Shout Factory version because it's a better transfer and it doesn't do the little snafu that Universal made, which I heard was corrected on their later editions, but still, if you want featurettes and everything like that, Shout Factory is the go. Really, you should check it out, even as a curiosity. It's nothing like the original, but it's miles ahead of all the other 80s slashers that plagued that decade. Also, blood tears. Iconic blood tear shot. That's another reason you need to see it. This is Trans 8010, and I am signing off.